What's going on, and happy Friday. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving this past week, and hope everybody found some great deals on Black Friday. I know I did. So I just kind of wanted, it was a shorter week in the market, but I did get some buys in on Wednesday right before Thanksgiving. So I just wanted to kind of go through my buys and give a little recap. This video isn't going to be too crazy long compared to my other ones. This is going to be a kind of quick recap, honestly, because I've been busy trying to finish up this bookkeeping client. I'm trying to just clear through the final year, which I'm almost done. I'm right there. Spent most of the day working on that. But I just wanted to get this video out, just have some content moving and kind of just document my moves in the market. So on Wednesday, I guess we can just start. 8 shares of the Honest Company at 263. Not a lot. This was really just, I had some spare money left in my portfolio that wasn't allocated, so I need to put it somewhere. I was fine putting it with the Honest Company. I've spoken about this a lot before. I just think the turnaround's going well with the new CEO. The company has about $70 million of cash and no debt, trading at a $300 million or under a $300 million market cap. So I buy. Not much to say there. And yes, I'm still continuing to have my weekly buys be $500 rather than the $300, which I explained in the last video where I basically rose how much money I was putting in the market weekly as long as we have some weakness in this market. Now, going on to the next one, continuing to add my largest position in the portfolio, and actually on Monday I'm going to start adding some shares of this into my retirement account as well. Not much I need to say on Meta. I got a quarter of a share, about at 158.43, full share price 633.73. They had the strongest revenue growth out of all of the big seven in their last earnings call. Besides for Nvidia, of course, but besides for Nvidia, strongest revenue growth. They're clearly showing a great ROI on the actual AI, and it's one of the few companies showing like a really strong ROI from it. I really trust Zuckerberg and what he's done, and I've spoken about this a lot before. I just really do think the AR glasses are gonna be a really good growth driver in the future. Maybe another 5 or 10 years. I just think that's gonna be so big once they get consistent AR glasses that can kind of act as basically their own monitors on anything. You can just connect them to their devices. I think it's going to be a great addition that people aren't factoring in, and even not factoring that in, just the family of apps is so strong. You don't even really have to. WhatsApp is barely starting to monetize, and Instagram is still continuing. All the other family of apps still continuing to perform very well. Something else of note, I saw they started, Threads has been doing well. And also, I saw they started doing like dating on Facebook. I don't know if that's been a thing, but I barely got like a notification of it in like like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I think that's potentially something that they could disrupt other dating apps and start taking revenue share from that as well, which could be another driver for growth. So love Meta. I've said it a lot of times, but I truly believe it could be the the biggest market cap company in the world long term. And I still do believe that, which is why I continue to add my position even though it's already such a large allocation. All right. Moving on. The last and final one, and one that hasn't been in a video yet. Yes, I've had a position in this company. However, I haven't made a video where I've been actively buying it yet. But I had to start making a move, and that was 1 share of Adobe at $320.34. Now, this one is partially, or it's mostly a valuation play, honestly. I think the market's really being overly pessimistic with the AI. And from everything I've watched from like the Adobe Max and their latest earnings call, AI has actually seemed to be helping them. They've done a great job integrating it into their product suite. So if anything, AI has seemed to be having a positive effect rather than a negative, which is what the market sentiment has been. Now just looking at that alone, even if I say they do get a bit of their market share taken, I still think the valuation of the company is low enough to where I'll be fine regardless. But anyways, they just have their AI just integrated into their Firefly and into their suite of products, which I do like. And at the end of the day, I don't see people canceling their Adobe to just do everything on ChatGPT per se, or Gemini, or any of these other large language models, whenever they can just keep their subscription and have the large language model already built into the Adobe software for their creative purposes. I don't see why they'd switch over, especially if you're already used to Adobe's software and how it runs. Not to mention Adobe's run on, I believe it's run on Gemini, the same system as Gemini. Don't quote me on that, but I think I remember seeing that as well. So regardless, I don't think they're going to lose a lot of market share from that. If anything, I think it's helping them with that. And I think it's proven in the numbers. If you look at the latest quarterly results, they had some pretty strong growth, double-digit net income growth, if I remember. So yeah, I think the company's well positioned, very well positioned. And this is kind of one of the things where I notice a lot of people don't give a lot of respect to some of the big tech companies. For example, when TikTok was going big, and this is a lot when I initially made my purchases in Meta, TikTok was really big and everyone was saying that's going to steal all of Meta's market share or Instagram's market share. And so that's when Meta stock was getting hit a lot as well. That was one of the reasons. And obviously we saw how that worked out. Meta was able to adapt. And I think it's going to be the same thing with Adobe. Everyone's always looking for the next thing that's going to disrupt the leader. But at the end of the day, usually the leader is a leader for a reason. So if there's some new technology, chances are the person with the most resources in that space is going to be able to capitalize on it the most. And I think more people need to factor that in as well, because Adobe, it's not like Adobe can't use AI. Adobe's going to use AI as well, and they have the resources to fund it and keep it growing. Now, if we go over here on Stock Unlock, just so I could kind of point out the valuation, we can see it's trading at a forward PE under 15 at a 13.7. I think the lowest I saw it was like, it might have touched the 11s, maybe, whenever it got at the lowest point. But either way, still very low for a very strong company. $134 billion market cap. I guess we can go some of the insights and look a bit. And yeah, if you see the margins on this company are ridiculous. Like, find me another company with gross margins at almost 90%. 90%. That's actually pretty insane. And if we also just flip over to the analysts and look at the analyst expectations, we have revenue growth through, let's go through 2030, a CAGR of about 7.6% on average. For the EPS growth, about 13%. Keep in mind, a lot of these analysts have been bearish. That's why the stock's been getting kind of beat up. So there's a good chance a lot of these revenue growth numbers are actually understated, which I believe they could be. But even so, just with the stock being as low as it is, if we go into a DCF model and we do something like a 12% revenue growth rate, maybe we'll cut this down to 2%, not 20. That'd be insane. Cut this down to like a 2% share decrease. They do buy back shares consistently. And then instead of a 41, I'd argue somewhere in the mid 20s could be okay. So like that 22, 25. Honestly, it could probably be more, especially with a company with such high margins. It should be getting more of a premium than that. But even at a 22, we can see a CAGR of about 17%. And let's say if it did hit that 25, we're looking at about a 20% CAGR. And I think it has significant downside protection. So me personally, I've just been adding it into my portfolio and just diversifying my money just a little bit. But like I said, we've hit about the 10-minute mark or around there. I didn't want to speak too much or too in depth. I just wanted to get a quick video out just to kind of explain my thoughts on all of this and keep it moving. So yeah, if you have any thoughts or any stocks you're currently looking at, anything that you find interesting in the market. If you could let me know down in the comments, maybe I could take a look at it as well. Always interested to hear different ideas that maybe I'm not seeing, or maybe companies I haven't even heard of. And who knows, it could just be the next big opportunity. And I'd love to see that. And if you're a business owner and you have any need for bookkeeping, I'm going to leave my website. It's always in the description. If you need any bookkeeping help with that, you can go ahead and reach out. But thanks everyone, and take care.